I honestly have no idea how I'm about to get through this video because as you can probably tell with my voice, I'm very much sick. I do not have the voice to film a video right now, but you know what? The show must go on. Okay, so Galaxy AI, dude, I sound terrible. I can't even do this. Galaxy AI is honestly pretty impressive, and in my short time using the S25 Ultra, it's easily one of the features that stood out the most to me. I'm mainly speaking from a photo editing standpoint because it's where I've been using it the most so far. I'm still learning all the other ways that Galaxy AI can be used across this device, but when it's come to editing photos, it's got me thinking. With AI integration becoming a normal thing on smartphones, and these features actually being like good, how long until we see a full-fledged editing powerhouse built right into our gallery app or our Photos app? I'm talking something that could rival Lightroom right from your pocket. But like honestly, we can't be that far, right, from seeing native mobile apps get just as versatile and capable for everyday editing. Now, some of the edits that Galaxy AI makes already looks just as good as what you'd get if you pulled the file into Photoshop and used the generative fill tool. It's genuinely that good. But it got me curious, what if I took photos that I had already edited, that I considered done, polished, finished, ready to export, and ran them through Galaxy AI's editing tools? Could it actually improve them more? Would it make smart changes, or would it just make a mess of something that really didn't need fixing? That is what today's video is about, if you can stand my voice. We're going to test Galaxy AI on a few different types of photos. Some easy ones, some more challenging edits, and see how precise, just how powerful and usable this tool really is. Because honestly, the idea of having this kind of editing power one tap away inside your Photos app, that is a game changer for photographers and content creators alike, especially when you're out shooting on the go and want to clean something up without hauling it into a full desktop setup. So go ahead and grab that beverage, whatever it may be. It should probably be cough syrup for me. Kick back and let's jump into it. All right, so here we are. I've got just 11 photos. I don't know if I'm gonna get through all these today, but they hold different situations. Like I said, some are gonna be a little bit harder edits. Some are pretty simple, basic edits, just to kind of showcase what Galaxy AI is primarily probably meant for at a consumer level. So, but these are all photos that, like I said, have already been edited. They've got presets or just edits in general on top of them. I've either delivered these photos to someone or I exported them for my own personal use. So I just want to see, like I said, if Galaxy AI can improve these in some way, or if it's just going to make them worse or not really do anything in the long run. So with that being said, after I cleared my voice for the 1000th time, let's get into it. And I would like to point out that I'm using the S Pen. The S Pen has actually been kind of a fun addition of the Galaxy S25 that I've used a lot more than I thought I would. So I don't know about you guys out there who have Galaxy S25s, but I actually find myself using the S Pen quite a bit, especially for photo stuff like this. So anyways, let's jump into the first photo. So here we've got a photo that I took of just myself, or just my watch when I was down in Florida, and you might already see one edit that I want to make to this. Now granted, like I said, I exported this just as is already and slapped an edit on it. I would typically probably remove my foot down there at the bottom in my editing software in Lightroom. For whatever reason, I didn't on this photo, so I just found this in my library of photos. I'm like, I don't know why I left that there. So first rule of order, we're going to remove that foot right there. So let's jump down here to Galaxy AI, and let's draw, you know, a little circle around it. Well, no, it didn't quite. There we go. You can also just tap. I forget you can just kind of tap as well. So let's go ahead and tap the eraser and then hit generate. And voila, just like that, got the foot out of there. And I will say that makes that photo so much better. I will say, not having my foot just, you know, glaring at you in the bottom left-hand corner there. So we'll go ahead and save copy. And there you go. One thing to note on all of the things that you do edit with generative AI is it's going to leave that little watermark down there in the corner, AI generated content. And to my knowledge, I don't know that there is a way to get rid of that. I think it's always going to kind of label your photos with that. So unless you wanted to take it into another editor and remove it, people are going to know that the photo that you sent them or whatever photo that you're showing them has some kind of AI generated content on it, which is good also, but I also kind of wish there was a way to maybe bypass that as well. I get why they have it there, but yeah, just something to note when you're using Galaxy AI within the Photos app. But yeah, that is a very, very basic edit, and something that, you know, you can do in Lightroom. But like I said, this is just kind of taking ones that have already gone through the Lightroom process for me, and just trying to improve them in some way with Galaxy AI. And I'd say that's an improvement, getting my foot out of there. This next one is a shot of my friend Josh at one of the shows I did for him. Really, really like this shot. There's really not much that I do want to do to this shot or would. The only thing I wanted to see if Galaxy AI could do is maybe go ahead and remove the lights and just let the glow, like the orange glow, be as it is, you know, because then it's not as distracting. And then maybe the remove Dylan, just his arms behind it. That's gonna be a little bit trickier, and then that way, you know, it's just kind of singling out Josh as the main primary focus of this shot. So let's see what we can do. For starters, let's go ahead and hit this. No, not that. Not the whole. Let's try just kind of circling. Okay. And then can we also circle this? Okay. And then let's see. Oh, no, not that. Not that. I'm still trying to kind of do my best to navigate this. Okay. And now let's see. Let's see if we can get that arm. Okay. And let's see if we can get that arm too. And get that little bit. Okay. All right. Let's see if that does the trick and does what we need it to do, to just remove those in a manner that's clean, but also helps ultimately the photo. Okay. That did a great job, actually. What it did with this light too, which I kind of like, you know, it just, because that was the main source of the light. The other one was just kind of a flare off the main one, but it left this one being like a main light, but it didn't, you know, honeycomb it as much. It just made it look like one light, which I like that a little bit better. It got rid of Dylan and his arms down here, no problem. And that, I would say that improves the overall photo quite nicely. I love this composition too because of just the the contrast of colors. I love how you've got the blue light over here on this side, and then you've got the orange light over here on this side, and then you've got him in the middle. It was one of my more favorite photos in a show setting. But that, I think that did a great job. So let's go ahead and save copy. And again, you're gonna have that AI generated content down on the bottom there, but I think going between the two, yeah, I think Galaxy AI absolutely improved the overall photo in this situation. Okay, moving on to something a little bit more landscapey, a little bit more in nature. This was a old barn along a path that we were hiking down in Arkansas. I do like this shot, but there's a lot of trash in the foreground. I think when I was originally editing this, I decided to leave that trash there just because I didn't want to take away from what's actually there. I edit that way a lot just because it's kind of freezing time, and I don't like to I don't like to alter a whole lot. Artistically, yes, you know, if you want to go if I want to kind of go through and just make the photo look as aesthetic as it can from a compositional standpoint, sure, but I don't like to remove a whole lot. So that's probably why I left the garbage here in the front, but I will say from a compositional standpoint, it would look much better if it wasn't there. So let's go ahead and try to remove that trash, that sheet metal here, and see if we can kind of clean this up a little bit. So, and then I'm gonna just circle all of this right here and see if we can just kind of latch onto that. Yeah, okay. Let's see what that does and see if it kind of gives us a cleaner overall photo here. Wow, okay, that did a great job. That did a great job. And I mean, look at that. From a photo standpoint, that looks so much better without the sheet metal there. We'll go ahead and save copy. And then you know what I'll do? I'll actually go back in here and see if I can just, I mean, why not? Let's just go ahead and remove the little ones. Actually, I don't know if it's gonna let me. Can it pick up? Okay, there we go. So let's do that. And then let's hit generate. And then just clean it up all the way to where it's just this old barn in the middle of these woods. Yeah, that's good. Did it do something funky there though at the, let me see. Maybe a little bit. Doesn't look terrible though. That looks pretty good. That cleaned it up quite a bit. And now that's just, you know, your whole subject is just the barn right there in the middle, and your eyes don't go anywhere else. So that's not what I saw on that trip, so it's quite deceptive in terms of what's actually there. But from a standpoint of the just pure composition and aesthetic look, that cleaned it up so much more, and it does look better. Guys, for those of you who are still watching and listening to my voice, thank you so much, because I feel like I'm losing it and I sound terrible. I sound hilarious. So thank you to anyone who is stuck around and is still listening to me struggle to speak. Like I said, the show must go on. Probably could have maybe skipped this week if I really wanted to, but wanted to get some kind of video out for you guys. Okay, so the only reason that I took this photo is because I wanted something that was going to involve generating some pieces of someone, or like putting in so what I want to do here is I want to remove this entire like shrub right here. Any of this that you see, I want to remove it to where it's just my buddy here, my buddy Will, and maybe also remove his little hat thing right there. So this is going to take a lot of generation, and this is going to take a lot of like processing power, and for it to figure out, you know, what I want it to do. We'll see if it can actually, you know, kind of piece together his back and his shoulder there, but it is going to take a lot. So let's see what all we can get from Galaxy AI here, and see if we can get it to do what we're trying to do here. So I really don't know what the best way to go about this is. I'm going to try to just circle all of this. Okay, so it picked it up. Let's go ahead and remove, erase, and let's see if it can make this look pretty decent. Okay. It's not terrible. I feel like his arm is really small. And also, you can't tell in this shot, but his other hand is on his phone, to where this does not look like his hand is up there, unless he's got a really long forearm. And it kind of, like I said, it kind of made his arm look a little small. So I wonder if we went back and we hit generate again, does it give you a new generation, or does it just do what it did the first time? Or does it give you something brand new? Let's see if this is a different result. Okay, see, that is a little bit better. Not as much arm. Still looks proportionally like it might be a little small, and also realistically it's more angled up, because like I said, his second hand, his right hand is also on his phone. You just can't tell. But that, I mean, just looking at it, I don't think you'd think otherwise. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and save copy, and then go into this brand new one, and let's also remove this little thing. I don't know if it's going to, okay. Well, it's selected a little bit more than what I wanted it to, but let's see if it gets the picture and just gives us a clean, okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. No, that did a great job. And then save copy. So we went through two phases here. First phase was removing the shrubbery in the foreground here. And that's what we got to. That's what we landed on. Not bad. Like I said, proportionally wise, I think his arm just looks like it might be slightly smaller than, you know, what it actually is. And also the angle, it didn't ever really get the angle right. What is up, buddy? What is up? Here, hold on. Look at this. Look at this man. Here. Make a debut. What do you have to say to the audience? Okay, very good. That was my cat, and I got a bunch of hair on me now. But overall, I think it did a pretty decent job at, you know, repairing and putting in something filler there. And then the second phase was obviously just getting rid of that little hat tail there. But I mean, it did a pretty good job. Did it really enhance the photo? Probably not. I mean, it did clean it up, and I think that's a pretty good composition too. I personally don't mind the shrubbery there in the foreground. Like I said, I just kind of took this photo to see what all it could do. In terms of, you know, the end product, I think it did a pretty good job. I think it did a great job at doing what I asked it to do. Whether or not it, you know, improved the photo, that's up to you guys. But I think it did a pretty good job at achieving what I was trying to get it to do. Okay, and last photo, just because I don't want this video to go super long. This last photo here is of my buddy Will again. What I'm going to try to do. This is a perfectly fine photo, I think. I don't mind the composition. I don't mind, you know, the things that are in the foreground, background, etc. But if I had to be really nitpicky, the log to his left and right, you know, maybe it distracts a little bit from him. I think it looks fine, and I think it enhances the photo overall because it reinforces where we're at, what kind of landscape we're in. But for the sake of this, I think we can maybe clean it up a little bit, and then also put a little bit, you know, reinforce more that he is the focus of this composition. So we're gonna try to get rid of this guy here. Okay. And then all of this right here. Ooh, see, I don't know what it did there. Let's try this again. Just that. Okay. Okay. We'll hit the little eraser. We'll hit generate. And let's see what it gives us here. Wow. Okay, that actually did a lot better job than I thought it would. Wow, that did a great job. Let's also see, so let's save that copy and go back into it. Let's see if it can remove these roots here. Okay, found them. Go ahead and hit erase. Oh, well, you know what? For the sake, let's see actually what it does, because it's just going to generate that whole new side. Let's see if it'll just get rid of those roots and kind of replace it with a landscape that's... Oh, wow, it just added trees. That's okay. That's not bad. That looks pretty good. I like that because it did great with the shadowing there. And, you know, he is just spotlighted in the foreground here. That did a great job. Even though it deleted the trail. That's the trail that we took to get back to the trucks. But... you know, hey, that's not bad. No, that looks great. Do I think that it improved the composition? Sure. I mean, because it really just reinforced Will as the subject of this photo. With like I said, it's almost got a spotlight on him, which is great. That's why I love the lighting in this photo. Is it necessary? No, because like I said, everything in the original photo already reinforces where we're at, and you know, there's nothing that I would want to remove. But did it do a good job at removing what I asked it to? And improving or doing what it thinks it should have done to improve the photo? Absolutely. It did a great job. And that's the thing, is like I could probably find photos and ask it to do harder things in the future. But every test, you know, as every reasonable test that I've given it, like real world, this is probably what you'd use this for. It has knocked it out of the park every single time. And I think throughout all of these edits, you can see is that, you know, these are real world edits. These are edits that you'd want to make to your photos to help improve the overall composition of the shot. And I think, like I said, every single time that I have given it a challenge and that I have tried to do something with Galaxy AI in terms of the generative fill or the generative edit, it has nailed it pretty much every single time. It can be a little janky here and there with its selections, and then also the fact that you have to, you know, save copy, go back in, and then if you wanted to, you know, make an additional edit, you have like 3 separate photos now. Maybe there's a way around that. I haven't found it yet. I might just be stupid. They could maybe streamline that a little bit better to where you're not creating so many photos just because you want to go back in and, you know, make another edit. I get that you can just kind of circle every single thing you want it to do and then, you know, hit the generate edit. But there's things after the fact that you realize, like, oh, hey, maybe I want to do that too. And, you know, so you have to save copy, go back in. It's kind of a mess. But aside from that, I mean, all these photos, like I said, it did a great job. And it's on the right track to where I genuinely think you can have an all-in-one like photo lab built into your native Photos apps or gallery apps on your phones. I get that like a Lightroom level app might be a little extensive in terms of having all that loading into your Photos app, but I think that the capability is definitely there, and I think it's got tools that rival Lightroom, that rival Photoshop even, when you implement this AI. At least what Samsung has done with Galaxy AI, it has more than delivered when I am in there asking it to do things. So super cool, super useful tool. I think it's gonna be something that a lot of people start using in the future, which, you know, take that as good or bad. I get there's a lot of, especially through the photography community, there's a lot of, you know, question marks about AI and generative AI. I think if you just look at each tool and how you can use it in a way that benefits you and that's not necessarily malicious, just always do that. Always just try to improve your own work and your own art and see how it can actually affect and help you, rather than thinking about all the malicious things that you can also do with it. It's going to be that way with literally anything. You know, you give it to the wrong person and someone's going to make something bad out of whatever. But as far as using Galaxy AI and plugging it into your photography workflow, I think is a great tool that you guys should start exploring, start playing with, and seeing what kind of results you can get. Anyways, guys, that is enough for me. This video is already super long, and you've had to, if you've made it this far listening to myself talk, I have no idea how you're here. Kudos to you for sticking around. Thanks for listening to my hoarse voice as I continue to lose it. If you have Galaxy AI on your device, I highly encourage playing around with it. Use it in photos, see what you guys can create, get creative with it. On that topic, that is enough watching this video, guys. Enough consuming. Get out there, create something yourself. I will see you all in the next video. Hopefully, not sick.